You think power is given. That's your first mistake. While you sit there, waiting for respect, for recognition, for your moment, someone else is already 3 moves ahead, orchestrating the very reality you're living in. They don't ask for power. They engineer it. And here's the brutal truth you need to hear. Every single day you waste playing by the rules they wrote for you, you're choosing weakness, not ignorance, not misfortune. Weakness. This isn't motivation, this is initiation. Because what I'm about to reveal will separate you from 99% of the population who will die never understanding why they never mattered. If you're ready to see what they don't want you to see, then don't you dare look away. Drop a comment right now with the word power if you're ready to stop being a pawn in someone else's game. Let's begin. The foundation. The game you didn't know you were playing. You've been lied to your entire life, not by accident, by design. They told you hard work equals success, that integrity gets rewarded, that the cream rises to the top. Beautiful lies, comforting lies, the kind that keep you running on a treadmill while others build empires. Here's the truth they'll never teach you. Power flows to those who understand one fundamental principle. Human beings are not rational creatures. We are emotional animals wrapped in rationality, and whoever controls the emotions controls everything. Right now, someone is engineering your reality. Your boss knows which words trigger your insecurity. That person who always gets what they want, they've mastered the invisible architecture of influence. Robert Greene spent decades studying this. The key to power is the ability to judge who is best able to further your interests. But you weren't taught strategy. You were taught to be nice, to play by rules the powerful wrote to keep you manageable. Note this carefully. It changes everything. The people with power aren't smarter than you. They simply see the game you're blind to. While you're focused on tasks, they're focused on perception. While you're building competence, they're building leverage. And here's what keeps you stuck. You think authenticity is strength. It's not. In a world where everyone manages perception, your transparency becomes the weapon they use against you. Here's your first tactical move, starting right now. For the next 24 hours, stop explaining yourself. When asked a question, pause 3 full seconds before responding. When asked your opinion, respond with a question instead. When provoked, give nothing but calm observation. This is power reclamation. You're training yourself to stop being predictable, to stop handing over leverage. The moment you become unreadable, you become powerful. Everything you're about to learn builds on this. Power isn't what you have, it's what people think you have. In the next 9 laws, I'll show you how to architect that perception, command respect without demanding it, and move through the world as someone who can no longer be controlled. This is your initiation. Let's begin. Law number 1, the law of strategic silence, the core tension. You think being helpful means having all the answers. You think proving your intelligence requires constant demonstration. You think silence is weakness, so you fill every gap with words, explanations, justifications. You overshare. You over-explain. Here's what actually happens. Every word you speak is data. Every opinion you offer is ammunition. Every time you rush to fill the silence, you reveal your insecurities, your desperation for validation. And the people who understand power, they're cataloging everything. They're learning your patterns. They're building a psychological profile they'll use when it serves them. The ruthless reality. Silence is not the absence of power. It's the purest expression of it. The person who speaks less controls the conversation more. Why? Because in the vacuum of your silence, others rush to fill the void. They reveal themselves. They expose their agendas. They confess without being asked. Machiavelli understood this. The first method for estimating intelligence is to look at the men around him. But here's the deeper insight. Intelligent rulers don't broadcast their intelligence. They let others talk themselves into subordinate positions. Mark this insight. The most dangerous person in any room is the one you can't read. When you practice strategic silence, something extraordinary happens. People project power onto you. They assume depth. They imagine calculation. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their anxieties back at them. Case in point. Business meeting. Everyone's pitching ideas, competing for attention. One person barely speaks. When they finally talk, the room goes silent. Why? Scarcity creates value. Compare that to the person talking non-stop. By word 50, everyone's tuned out. Same expertise, completely different influence. Your tactical application. Implements. And the 3-question rule. In any conversation, ask 3 questions before making one statement. When someone asks your opinion, pause 5 seconds, then respond. Tell me more about why you're asking. In negotiations, never name a price first. When confronted with criticism, don't defend. Simply say, interesting perspective, and let the silence work. Train yourself in the discomfort of quiet. You're learning to stop bleeding leverage. Here's what happens. Within days, people treat you differently. They lean in when you speak. They seek your approval more actively. You didn't become smarter. You just stopped volunteering your power away. But here's the question haunting you. If something this simple shifts everything, what else have you been doing wrong? Law number 2, the law of controlled reaction. The inner clash. You react instantly, emotionally, predictably. Someone insults you, you defend. Someone challenges you, you fight back. Someone baits you, you take it. You think this makes you authentic. Here's the brutal reality. Every time you react emotionally, you've been played. Your buttons have been pushed deliberately, and you responded exactly as programmed. You're a puppet, and they're holding the strings. They know it, and they'll use it again because it works. The harsh reality. Emotional reaction is the tax the weak pay to the strong. Power belongs to those who respond, not react. There's a difference. Reaction is automatic. Someone throws a punch, you flinch. Response is calculated. Someone throws a punch, you choose your next move strategically. Sun Tzu wrote, "He who is prudent and lies in wait will be victorious." But you're exploding on cue. Every time anger hijacks your brain, you surrender control. Every time you take the bait, you're advertising your weakness. Focus on this principle. The most powerful move in any conflict isn't aggression. It's composure. When someone attacks and you remain calm, they escalate. They try harder. They reveal more of their hand. Meanwhile, you're collecting data. You're watching their strategy unfold. You're choosing the exact moment and method of your response. This is psychological warfare at its finest. Example in motion. 2 colleagues competing for promotion. Manager criticizes one publicly. First colleague defends himself emotionally, makes excuses, appears weak. Second colleague pauses, nods slowly, says, "I appreciate the feedback," then continues working at a higher level. Who gets promoted? The one who demonstrated emotional regulation, the one who couldn't be rattled. Your tactical move. Create a response delay protocol. When triggered, count to 10 before speaking. And when criticized, write your emotional response, then delete it and craft a strategic one. Practice this phrase. Let me think about that and get back to you. This buys time, demonstrates control, forces you out of reactive mode. Someone cuts you off in traffic? Don't react. Breathe. Choose your state. You're building emotional sovereignty. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. I respond, I don't react. I control my state. Type it out, because the moment you master this law, you become untouchable. And if you're not ready for that level of power, stop watching now. Law number 3, the law of asymmetric value. The central dilemma. You give everything up front. Your resume lists every skill. Your first meeting reveals your entire strategy. You answer every question completely, thinking thoroughness equals competence. You volunteer information, believing transparency builds trust. You show all your cards because you think honesty is currency. It's not. You've just eliminated your negotiating power. You've removed mystery. You've given them everything they need to low-ball you, bypass you, or replicate you without compensation. The stark reality. Value exists in scarcity and withholding. The moment someone knows everything you can do, they've priced you. They've categorized you. They've limited you. Robert Greene teaches, keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. But you're doing the opposite. You're an open playbook. Cialdini's research proves humans assign higher value to what they can't fully access. Exclusivity breeds desire. Availability breeds contempt. Here's the shift. Stop being an information vending machine. Start being a strategic revealer. When asked what you do, give 70% of the answer. When asked about capabilities, showcase one strength while keeping 3 hidden. In salary negotiations, never name your range first. Make them commit. Make them wonder what else you're capable of. Illustrative example. 2 consultants pitch the same client. First consultant presents a comprehensive 100-slide deck covering every possible solution. Second consultant presents 20 slides, then says, based on what we uncover in phase 1, I have 3 additional frameworks we might deploy. First consultant gets thanked. Second gets hired at triple the rate. Why? Implied depth, future value, the promise of more. Your tactical application. Implement the 70% rule starting today. In any exchange of value, information, skills, time, give 70%, withhold 30%. When someone asks, what else can you do? Respond with, what specifically are you trying to accomplish? Flip interrogation into qualification. When presenting ideas, share the concept but not the full execution plan. Create information gates. Make people earn access to your full capability. This isn't deception, it's strategic value management. Watch what happens. People start pursuing you instead of you chasing them. Your perceived value multiplies. Opportunities compound, all because you stopped volunteering your entire arsenal in the first engagement. But here's what most people miss about this law, and it's about to change everything you think you know about loyalty. Law number 4. The law of selective loyalty. The underlying struggle. You're loyal to everyone. Your company, your friends, your family. You believe loyalty is a virtue that should be given freely and maintained unconditionally. You pride yourself on being ride or die. You stand by people even when they don't stand by you. You think this makes you noble, honorable, principled. Here's what it actually makes you: exploitable. Your unconditional loyalty is being weaponized against you. People know you won't leave, won't push back, won't demand better, so they don't give you better. Your loyalty has become your cage. The unfiltered reality. Loyalty should flow where it's reciprocated, not where it's expected. Machiavelli was explicit about this. Men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked. Your one-way loyalty makes you that person. Power players understand loyalty is transactional, not in a cold way, but in a strategic one. They invest loyalty where it compounds returns. They withdraw it where it's exploited. Keep this in mind. This doesn't mean become disloyal. It means become intelligently loyal. Audit your allegiances. Where are you giving loyalty that isn't returned? What relationships drain more than they sustain? Who takes your consistency for granted? The people with real power maintain fierce loyalty to those who've earned it, and calculated distance from those who haven't. Practical illustration. Employee stays loyal to company for 10 years, refuses better offers, goes above and beyond. Company downsizes, eliminates their position. Meanwhile, another employee switches companies every 3 years, negotiates aggressively, maintains loose allegiance. Guess who has more wealth, better options, stronger negotiating position? The one who treated loyalty as a strategic choice. OIS, not a character flaw. Your tactical move: create a loyalty audit this week. List everyone you're loyal to. Next to each name, write what they've done to earn it recently. If the list is one-sided, you've found your leak. Start implementing reciprocity gates. Match energy, match investment, match commitment. When someone requests your loyalty, respond with, "I'm committed to people who are committed to mutual growth. Show me what that looks like for you." Make loyalty a renewable contract, not a permanent sentence. Now comment this: "My loyalty is earned, not assumed. I invest where I'm valued." Because once you master selective loyalty, you'll never be trapped in one-sided relationships again. But the next law, it's going to disturb you. Law number 5, the law of controlled availability. The behavioral trap. You're always available. You answer texts immediately. You say yes to every meeting. You're the first to arrive and last to leave. You think accessibility equals professionalism. You believe being helpful and responsive makes you valuable. Wrong. You've trained people that your time has no cost, that your attention is infinite, that you'll always be there when they need you, so they abuse it. They schedule over you. They demand without appreciation. Your availability didn't make you valuable. It made you invisible. The hidden reality. Scarcity is the foundation of all value systems. Economics, relationships, power. What's abundant becomes worthless. What's rare becomes precious. When you're always available, you signal low demand. When you're selectively available, you signal high value. This isn't playing games, it's understanding human psychology. People unconsciously rank importance by accessibility. The harder someone is to reach, the more significant they must be. Lock this insight in. Look at anyone with real power. They don't answer immediately. They have gatekeepers. Their time is structured, protected, sacred. Not because they're arrogant, because they understand that urgent isn't always important, and important deserves undivided attention. When you're always reacting to everyone else's agenda, you never execute your own. Situation in practice. 2 freelancers, same skills. First responds to client messages within minutes, available for calls anytime, accepts every project. Gets paid average rates, treated casually. Second takes 4 hours to respond, books meetings 2 weeks out, turns down half the inquiries. Gets paid triple, treated with deference. The difference? Perceived demand creates perceived value. Your immediate action plan. Starting tomorrow morning, implement these 3 boundary bits. First, turn off all notifications except calls from 5 priority contacts. Second, batch your communication. Check messages at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. only. Third, when someone asks, "Are you free?" never say yes immediately. Say, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you within 2 hours." Then actually wait 2 hours. This creates processing time and signals your schedule has weight. For the next 7 days, delay every non-urgent response by minimum 90 minutes. Watch how people start valuing your time more because you do. Here's what shifts immediately. Desperation disappears from your interactions. People stop taking your availability for granted. Your yes becomes meaningful because your no exists. You reclaim hours daily, and suddenly, everyone wants more access to you precisely because they can't have it. But this next law takes it even darker. Law number 6, the law of strategic vulnerability. The psychological misstep. You think vulnerability means sharing everything. your struggles, your fears, your insecurities. You've been told that being real creates connection, that authenticity builds trust. So you open up, you confess your doubts, you admit your failures. And what happens? Some people respect it. Most people catalog it. They file away your weaknesses. They note your pressure points. And when they need leverage, when competition arises, when conflict emerges, they'll use every vulnerability you volunteered against you. Your honesty became their ammunition. The ruthless principle. Vulnerability is powerful only when it's calculated. The masters of influence share strategic weaknesses that humanize without compromising position. They admit controllable flaws that make them relatable while protecting their true vulnerabilities like nuclear codes. Brené Brown researches vulnerability, but she's talking to therapists and friends, not competitors. In power dynamics, vulnerability without strategy is suicide. As Green warns, never appear too perfect. This arouses envy, but choose defects that enhance your strengths. Remember this distinction. Stop confessing. Start curating. Share vulnerabilities that make you human but not weak. Admit past struggles you've overcome. That demonstrates resilience. Reveal flaws that are actually humble brags. I work too hard is a weakness that signals strength. I trust people too easily is a flaw that signals integrity. Meanwhile, your real weaknesses, guard them ruthlessly. Applied. Example, two leaders addressing their teams about missed targets. First admits fear, uncertainty, questions their own competence. Team loses confidence, resumes circulate. Second says, I pushed too aggressively because I believe in what we're building. Here's what I learned. Team doubles down. Estors stay committed. Same failure, different framing. One destroyed credibility, one enhanced it. Your tactical script, use. Tonight, when someone asks about your weaknesses, use this exact framework. I used to struggle with past flaw, but I've developed system habit that's transformed it into current strength. Example, I used to overcommit, but I've built a priority matrix that's turned me into someone who delivers exceptional results on what matters. You're admitting humanity while demonstrating growth. Tomorrow, write down 3 real vulnerabilities. Next to each, write how someone could weaponize it. Never share those 3. Ever. Drop this in the comments. I share strategically. My real weaknesses are mine alone. Type it. Internalize it. Because the next law reveals something most people never see about respect. Law number 7. The law of earned respect. The core misconception. You're waiting for respect to be given. You think if you work hard enough, long enough, consistently enough, respect will eventually come. You believe merit speaks for itself. You assume good work gets noticed. It doesn't. You've been passed over for promotions. Your ideas get credited to others. People interrupt you in meetings. You're competent, skilled, dedicated, and completely disrespected because you're operating on the wrong assumption. Respect is not given, it's engineered. It's a psychological response, not a moral one. The cold reality. People don't respect effort. They respect demonstration of power, not physical power, but psychological dominance. Those who move with certainty, who speak with authority, who enforce boundaries without apology, command respect without asking. Robert Greene wrote, "Win through your actions, never through argument." But you've been arguing, explaining, defending. You're chasing validation when you should be architecting perception. Take note of this principle. Respect isn't earned over time. It's earned through behavior patterns that trigger psychological recognition of authority. Consistency without confidence breeds invisibility. Competence without dominance breeds dismissal. You're not being disrespected because you're unworthy. You're being disrespected because you're too agreeable. Illustration of contrast. 2 professionals enter a meeting. both equally skilled. One speaks softly, smiles excessively, apologizes before opinions. The other maintains composed posture, makes eye contact, speaks declaratively, not tentatively. Both deliver the same point. One is ignored, the other is quoted. Respect follows presentation, not content. Your immediate action plan. Implement the authority posture protocol. First, eliminate all weak language. No more "I think," "I guess," "oh, maybe." Replace with "based on my analysis," or "here's the strategic move." Second, practice pausing before every statement. Pauses signal authority. Third, enforce boundaries the first time they're crossed. Someone interrupts, say calmly, "Let me finish my point." No aggression, no apology. The first boundary you let slide defines your value to others. Now type this in the comments. I command respect through composure, not compliance. Internalize it, because respect doesn't appear. It's engineered, and once you learn to engineer it, you become unshakable. But the next law? It explains why power multiplies for some and disappears for others. Law number 8. The law of substitution, the hidden struggle. You think success comes from doing more work, more effort, more time. You push harder, burn longer, sacrifice rest, believing volume equals victory. It doesn't. The elite don't work harder. They work with replacement systems. They build substitutions for everything they depend on. While you depend on one job, they own 5 income sources. While you rely on one skill, they master 3 pivot points. When one fails, they switch lanes without panic. You call it luck. They call it redundancy. The harsh realization. Independence isn't freedom from needing money. It's freedom from needing one source of money. The same goes for loyalty, validation, approval. The weak rely on one channel. The powerful diversify their dependencies. The masses cling to a single path, a single opportunity, a single person, and crumble when it breaks. The power player, they always have a substitute, a backup plan, an alternate route. Engrave this in your mind. Substitution is the invisible engine of power stability. When you build alternatives, you eliminate desperation. And when you eliminate desperation, you eliminate control others have over you. They can't threaten what you can replace. They can't manipulate what you don't need. This is quiet dominance, the kind no one sees until it's too late. Practical illustration. Imagine 2 entrepreneurs. First depends entirely on a single client. Client leaves. Income collapses overnight. Second has 6 smaller clients, a digital product, and passive income from investments. One call doesn't shake him. One failure doesn't ruin him. The first reacts in fear. The second adjusts and multiplies. That's substitution at work. Stability disguised as silence. Your tactical plan. Create a power map this week. List every source of your income, validation, and influence. For each, write, "What's my backup?" If the answer is nothing, that's your vulnerability. Build a duplicate, a side stream, a mirrored channel. Don't rely on any single system, person, or platform. Rotate your dependencies until nothing can trap you. Now type this below. I replace dependency with strategy. I create silent leverage. Because once you grasp this, you stop chasing freedom. You start designing it. And the next law explains how to weaponize perception itself. Law number 9. The law of narrative control. The core struggle. You think reality is objective. You think facts win arguments. Truth changes minds. Logic drives influence. It doesn't. People don't follow truth. They follow the most emotionally convincing story. The powerful understand this. They don't manipulate facts. They manipulate framing. They don't argue. They narrate. Whoever defines the narrative defines reality. The brutal insight. Humans don't seek truth. They seek coherence. A compelling illusion beats a dull fact every single time. You can be right and still lose if your story doesn't move emotions. Power players never fight for truth. They fight for perception. They know the masses would rather feel right than be right. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, few can feel." Mark this well. You don't control people by forcing them. You control them by scripting how they interpret what happens. The frame always beats the fact. The person who defines the cause defines the outcome. Scene example. A CEO fires half the staff. Competitor calls it cruelty. CEO reframes. We streamline to protect the remaining jobs and guarantee company survival. Both are true, but only one story survives. Power belongs to the storyteller. Your tactical blueprint. For the next 7 days, observe how you explain your actions. Do you describe events or do you define meaning? Start controlling meaning. Use framing phrases like, "Here's what this actually represents," or "The reason this happened is simple." When conflict arises, don't argue facts. Redirect emotion. Anchor perception. Every event in your life has two stories, the one told by others and the one you tell. Your job is to make yours louder, simpler, and more emotionally resonant. Drop this in the comments. I don't fight reality, I frame it. Because once you own the narrative, no one can write your downfall. But now we reach the final law, the one that fuses all power together. Law number 10, the law of controlled distance, the internal dilemma. You think connection equals closeness. You crave constant validation, reassurance, and recognition. You chase attention as proof of relevance. But proximity breeds predictability, and predictability kills mystique. The closer people get, the more they see the edges of your humanity, the limits of your patience, the flaws behind your power. The elite understand this. They master controlled distance, close enough to influence, far enough to remain untouchable. The hard realization: familiarity erodes fear, and fear, in power dynamics, isn't terror, it's respect. When you're too accessible, you invite dilution. When you maintain space, you preserve magnetism. The unknown element keeps people alert, attentive, cautious. You don't want people completely comfortable around you. You want them slightly uncertain. That's where respect lives. Take this as a commandment. Controlled distance is not arrogance, it's architecture. The space between you and others creates psychological gravity. The sun doesn't chase planets, it pulls them through invisible force. That's how influence works. Demonstration of power. Think of the mentor who replies days later but with precision. The executive who leaves messages unread yet commands rooms upon arrival. The artist who disappears for months, then drops one masterpiece that resets the market. They all leverage distance as a performance tool. Your tactical action. Schedule strategic absence. 1 day per week, go silent. No social media, no responses, no presence. Let curiosity build. Let people notice your absence. Then return with something impactful. An insight, a move, an announcement. Repeat weekly. You're conditioning the world to value your presence because it's not constant. Now type this below. I create magnetism through distance. Because once you learn to vanish strategically, you never need to beg for attention again. Your ascension into power. Let's crystallize what you've absorbed. You've learned 10 laws that separate the subjugated from the sovereign. Law 1, strategic silence. Law 2, controlled reaction. Law 3, asymmetric value. Law 4, selective loyalty. Law 5, controlled availability. Law 6, strategic vulnerability. Law 7, earned respect. Law 8, substitution. Law 9, narrative control. Law 10, controlled distance. Together, these form your architecture of influence, the invisible empire of psychological sovereignty. You are no longer the participant, you are the observer. You are no longer reactive, you are deliberate. You no longer seek approval, you generate gravity. Remember, the powerful don't chase, they position. They don't explain, they imply. They don't demand, they attract. You've crossed the line from awareness to weaponization, and once you've seen the machinery behind human behavior, there's no unseeing it. Now it's your turn. Comment, "Power awakened," because you didn't watch another motivational video, you just stepped into initiation. Welcome to the minority that doesn't ask for permission. You move differently now.